Right, everybody. Welcome, episode 53 of the Post Concussion Syndrome Awareness podcast. And finally back after extended kind of holiday stroke hiatus, whatever you want to call it. And today, very fortunate and blessed to have Brittany Lynn, all the way from Connecticut. Hi, Brittany.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Thank you for agreeing to do this and being generous with your time. And today, Brittany's come to share her personal story and, of course, to talk about yoga and other things and whatever else crops up. Um, would you mind starting, Brittany, by just telling the people listening and watching at home a little bit about yourself, please, and how you first became injured?
I'm from Connecticut in the US, kind of near like New York City. Um, and I was injured. I had a severe concussion in summer 2019
Mhm.
when I was on my way home from work. It was like an hour commute from work to work and from work every single day.
Mm.
Um, and I was in a car accident, um, and then I went to the hospital for a few days, and they told me that I had a severe concussion. So that's what started it. I went through the healing journey. Um, saw the doctors. I saw what they told me to do. I did what I did. Now I'm a 200-hour yoga teacher. And there's a lot of people who come up to me and they're like, you would never know that you
Yeah.
went through that. So
Yeah, and so that did that accident specifically break you away from your old work, or did you change your career then because of it?
yeah, so I was doing social media marketing for a law firm at the time, and I was driving home. Unfortunately, because the commute was over, it was about an hour. I couldn't go back to work. So just one of the things that you hear a lot of people when they have concussions, as bad as mine, or even just kind of minor, a lot of people are not able to go back to work. So I had a full time position. It was an hour commute. I just had a car accident. My car was totaled. I couldn't go back for at least 2 months, and they had to find somebody new. So
Yeah, well, I think it can be that a lot of people. I mean, I know myself personally. Yeah, that I tried to go back to work for a while after my first couple of mild traumatic brain injuries, and although I was kind of functioning on some level, I was kind of like on another level. I was like, and I think I lasted from September till Christmas, New Year, and then I just caved in. I couldn't do it.
it's so hard, especially when the doctors are all telling you, nope, you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't do it, don't do it. And it's like, oh, I think the doctors are right, I shouldn't do this.
Well, yeah, it can be tricky as well because some things that they try to do in the short term, like certain medications and things, can if you're left on them, as I know, it can end up causing worse damage over time. So, bearing in mind that, how do you feel about that shift then in your career? Are you enjoying things more now that you well, I take it yoga's a passion for you as well as.
I'm a 200-hour yoga teacher now. And then I did jump into a full-time position, even though the doctors told me not to. I
Mm.
had to. I had bills to pay and everything like that. So now I'm working at a local gym, and I'm a yoga teacher in two places. So a
Excellent.
lot of it surprises people a lot.
Yeah, I mean, yoga's come up a few times before in our podcast with other guests that used it for to help within the recovery and to help other people too. Um, Going back to your injury as well, Brittany, were you unconscious at all at the time, or?
Yeah, so the crazy thing is I don't remember anything. I don't remember the car accident happening whatsoever. I just woke up in the hospital with my family and friends around me. And I didn't really even ask a question. I wasn't like, why was I here? I just woke up and I was like, oh, I think I drove here. And then I was in the hospital for a few days with a lot of concussion symptoms, like kind of not being able to walk, not being able to talk, sleeping a lot.
Yeah.
So very unconscious. Somehow I got to the hospital. I don't know how, but yes, I was unconscious for a while.
Oh, you know that you got there. That's the main thing. And yeah, it can be at different levels. You know, I mean, I've never had that type of experience with any of my injuries, but yeah, it must be frightening as well, especially with the amnesia, you know, like post-traumatic amnesia, where you're like, what on earth, what on earth happened?
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. I thought I drove there for some reason, but I guess I didn't.
Well, this is it. Yeah, if you don't remember, you think, well, logically, I must have driven here, or you know, you feel that way.
Mhm.
So, and how have things gone? That was what month was that in 2019 that you were injured?
So it's kind of funny because as we're talking about it, I have to remember everything, and
Mm,
I think I remember everything about my concussion, but then people ask me questions, and I'm like, let me think for a second. Um, it was June, 2019. I
yeah.
remember waking up in the hospital. They asked me what the date was, and I thought it was fall.
Ah, yeah. So it's coming up on nearly 2 years now as well. Yeah. So and how do you feel now in regards to your recovery? Do you think you've got kind of a lot more to do and much more to go, or are you quite happy so far?
I would say I am like 99.98% like better from the concussion,
Right, good stuff. Yeah.
which I'm so grateful for because I hit my head very bad.
Mm,
Um, I'm in, when I was healing, I joined Facebook support groups.
yeah.
Um, and so a lot of them, there's thousands of them in there, and a lot of them, I see a lot of people still suffering with like a lot of post concussion syndrome symptoms and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just very grateful because I'm lucky to even like be here in general.
Yeah.
um, and I just hope that like I can share my story, not to share my story, but to share my story. So this is probably the video that I wanted to see when I was healing and I was alone, because it's a really lonely journey to heal
Mm.
with a concussion, because nobody else around you, for the most part, has a concussion. A lot of people are just like, well, you look fine. So
Of course, yeah, yeah. This is the thing, you know. You look fine to me, you know. You look all right, and it's the same. You know, it's classed as a hidden disability, so people don't see it. You know, they're not aware of it, but it's affecting you internally. You know, as you are. You know, you emotions, you, physically, physiologically. You know, it's kind of it can be kind of kicking quite hard, and people don't see it, and yet you're dealing with it all the time, aren't you? So. Um, I think you're doing incredibly well, and the one main thing that I'd say from my experience is you've managed to, I presume you've managed to avoid being re-injured or reconcussed.
yeah, my concussion was so badly, it was like so severe, because I was out for a few days in the hospital. I was, I was, when I went to the hospital, I had all of those symptoms. If you Google what those symptoms are,
Yeah.
like I lost hearing on this side, 100%. My ears were bleeding. I had fractures everywhere. Um, so it was really bad.
Mm.
But overall, like the healing journey is what got me there. It was definitely an awakening and everything like that. So
Yeah, and there is here in the UK and other places we categorise brain injury in three different categories, which is mild traumatic brain injury, traumatic brain injury, and then severe traumatic brain injury (STBI). So it sounds like STBI that you had, which is generally a period of unconsciousness, comatose, where then you wake up and you, although your injuries can be more severe than say, you know, technically more severe than a mild traumatic brain injury, but you obviously can get the attention and the medical attention and things. I mean, out of the I think 10 injuries I had, I'd never been to hospital for a single one of them. Never had any treatment for any single one of them. I never ever saw a neurologist. So it's an odd thing that yeah, you know, we all have different experiences. But they're in the States, and you call everything TBI. I think it started with Bill Clinton, so you kind of made a bit of a confusion. Okay, so given that you've made like positive life changes, and you know you've made a career change as well, what other things have helped you the most, such as like diet, exercise, supplements, and things?
Yeah, so it's interesting because about 2 weeks in from the healing process, the doctors told me I would be able to go back to work in about 2 to 4 weeks. That's what they said.
Right.
And it was 2 weeks in, and I wasn't getting any better. I still could not walk by myself. I had to use like a walker just to go to the bathroom. I couldn't really talk by myself still.
Yeah.
Um, my memory was very short. I had all of my long-term memory, but I could not remember anything from like 2 minutes ago.
Right.
um, but overall, like yeah, the whole process was something. What worked for me was like my holistic coach who I have in New York actually gave a call, and I wasn't getting any better, and he was like, "You need to go get craniosacral therapy right now."
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, "What is this?" I I didn't question him because he's a holistic coach, um,
Mhm.
but I wasn't getting any better. Um, and the doctors weren't really helping because they basically just told me you can't go back to work full time, but you should go back in 2 to 4 weeks, but you cannot go full time. And my commute was over in hours. I wasn't getting better. My life was like starting over.
Mm.
So I had nothing to lose. So I went to the cranial sacral therapy. I Googled what it was, and it said something about touching the spine in a certain way, and i I was like, I really hope that this person doesn't hurt me because I already hit my head really bad. I was like, I don't want them to like mess with my spine. I don't know what this is. So I did go get like a cranial radial therapy, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodness.
Um, so yeah, I did go get it, and I had no idea, but it was Reiki. So it was energy work, and
Right. So they use both. Yeah. Right. No, that's
Mhm.
quite powerful by the sound of it.
Yeah. So a week, I would say the next day, I was actually able to walk like by myself completely.
Big.
I had a really bad headache the day that she did it.
Yeah.
But the next day, I was absolutely able to walk. I didn't need a walker anymore or anything like that. So,
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. This is something. If you've never had that type of therapy or healing before, it's different to like Western medicine where you take a pill and you feel better, even if you're not actually better, but you feel better. With healing and doing any type of intense healing, it can bring the problem out. So you might feel worse for a little while, and then you start to make improvements gradually. So yeah, it's a different sensation. But so that was good that you had that opportunity as well. And did you were you covered by? I know you have like an insurance system over there with healthcare as well. Were you covered by insurance and things?
no. So the holistic approach was not covered, unfortunately. But I wish that more people knew about it because I really was not getting better at all until I did it.
Right.
And a lot of people, when I tell them that I did that, they go, "Oh, okay, Reiki, sure, it's all in your head," but it worked.
Yeah, no, I mean, since I've been running a Facebook group, so there was no groups on Facebook before 2009 for post concussion syndrome, and you started those. But even back in a few years ago, everything I could talk about, people would kind of mock it and kind of like, ah, rubbish, doctors' drugs is the only way to go. And then, like cannabis a few years ago was like a really taboo subject, and you couldn't even talk about it. It was a dirty drug. And now that everybody's discussing it openly and other things as well. So it's good that what, 12 years now. Yeah, God, it seems like forever. 12 years of running those types of groups and discussions. What was previously considered, yeah, not open for discussion, people would actually complain if you mentioned stuff like that. And now, even like with healing, it's people are asking, well, what do you do? Where do you go to learn? And there is a science behind Reiki, and they use it here in the medical system. Photonic light energy, it's scientifically measurable, which is the Reiki that comes from your hands, from your body. So there is a scientific basis for it as well. So you can say, well, actually, there is a science behind it. But
I did not know that there was a science behind it.
yes, yeah, just because it's, well, nobody knows how old the system is. It could date back hundreds or thousands of years. But yeah, you've probably heard of chi, haven't you? Like energy. If you do yoga, you've heard of chi.
Mhm.
In Japan, it's called ki. It's the same thing, the same energy. In India, they call it prana. But in Western science, they call it photonic light energy, which isn't as catchy. But it's essentially the same thing. And yeah, there are instruments that can measure it, obviously coming from your body. So yeah, it's a real phenomenon, even if it's poorly understood by science in general. So yeah, so you've had Reiki as well. I know we mentioned that when we were chatting before too. Are there other things that you'd maybe recommend people to look into as well, Brittany, or suggest maybe?
So the other thing would be, I guess, yoga. Yoga. I was before my car accident. I was the person who was in the gym, for an hour every single day before every single day before my job and everything like that. So I was very active. I was lifting all the time. Unfortunately, though, it's been almost 2 years, like you said. I still have yet to be able to actually get back into the gym like I used to. I
Yeah,
work for the gym right now, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I can't get back into it, especially because lifting weights and everything like that. But like I said, I'm 99 point, probably 98% better. It's just, I mean, I can work out now with weights and everything like that a little bit. When I first started getting back into it, I would get massive headaches from it. I would get very dizzy and everything like that. Um, but just easing myself into it. So I would say ease yourself into it. Believe in yourself.
Mhm.
Like I went into my full time job. Not that that's probably recommended because the doctor said otherwise.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say the most important thing is like believing in yourself, because if you believe in yourself,
Yeah,
um, there you can get a lot of things done. And then take a break if you need a break, like step away for just a second, take a breath. But this all goes back to like yoga. um, Yoga teaches you to believe in yourself. Yoga teaches you to breathe when things become tough. Yoga teaches you to find the power in yourself, um, to find the strength in yourself. I couldn't strengthen myself anymore. I wasn't working out. I was bedridden for 2 months, um, almost,
yeah.
just because I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't go back to the gym. Um, so I was losing a lot of muscle. I was getting
Mm.
skinnier and everything like that. Um, so yoga it got me back to being active. It got me back to finding like a peace in my mind. Um, so I think Reiki and then yoga, because I definitely think that the energy release is very, very, very essential. The Reiki lady, when I was there, um, she said that it was all energy. So, and my yoga teacher who trained me to be a yoga teacher
Yeah,
said it was all energy. So when you're sitting in an asana or a pose for a long time and you feel kind of like a pain somewhere or something, it's the prana,
yeah,
or the energy flowing to that area because it needs to be in that area,
yeah,
the healing.
yeah.
So it kind of makes you accept the pain and everything like that, allow the pain to go through, because
Mm.
you kind of have to allow that to go through. Um,
Mhm.
but I would say paying attention to yourself. Yoga is strengthening balance, focusing on the mind, the body, remembering to breathe and to meditate. When I was healing, I
Yeah.
traveled to about like 2 months after my car accident. I went to Peru,
Oh,
and then right after I went to Canada,
okay.
pretty much back to back. And everybody was like, "Wow, you travel a lot." Not really. It just happened to be back to back.
Oh, wow.
um, but yeah, a lot of doctors were like, "No, you can't go there. You just had a concussion. You can't go on a plane." And I was like crying because I was like, I can't do anything anymore.
And where did you go to in Peru? Did you go to the did you go to Machu
um,
Picchu, Lima?
no, I did go to Lima, and then I went to Iquitos, which
Oh,
is
yes, yeah.
Iquitos. I went to the jungle. I went to the spiritual retreat.
And
Um,
ayahuasca? No?
yeah, a little bit. I did
Yeah,
have that.
little. Well, a thimbleful.
Well, the shaman was like, "Oh, well, you might see a car accident," and I was like, "That's not tempting."
He didn't sell it to you very well, did he?
No, not really.
No, yeah, the podcast I did on Tuesday with Paul S. He invited me to talk, and that was about plant medicine and ayahuasca. That's the Inward Matrix podcast. Look, you've got me plugging myself and my own podcast now. Most people that listen to me know that I do the Inward Matrix one as well, which is like spiritual meditation, all kinds of weird stuff. So yeah, that should be out Sunday night, hopefully. Sorry.
No.
So yeah, ayahuasca can be really powerful tool for recovery, and I've used it in my recovery down the years, not just from PCS, but having fibromyalgia as well and other issues. Because the medical services here are horrendous when it comes to this type of stuff, and they like left me on opioid painkillers for nearly 10 years, which in its way kind of ruined part of my health as well. And then I was used, to get off with all that, I used the brew. So yeah, so wow, so yeah, that's quite profound. Yeah, you mentioned quite a lot of things there, where you've actively looked for ways to encourage your own healing. So yeah, massive credit for that, because there's not so many people who've come on the podcast where they said, "Oh yeah, I've done this, that, and the other." They're just reliant on the modern medical system. But yeah, I mean, going to Peru, yeah, that's
Thank you. That's the other thing that I try to like explain to people, because I have a holistic coach. I'm a holistic lifestyle coach, level 1. So that's mostly just working on yourself and everything like that. That's where the advice came from, to do the cranial sacral therapy on my head. Um, I gotta say, like, there comes a balance. It's yin yang, because I have to have a moment of silence or appreciation for the medical field, the hospitals, the ambulance, the fire department, the police who came to my car accident scene. They saved my life, completely. They had to open up the door. It was a rollover car accident, so I was completely stuck. The cop I met him after, the officer. He had to hold me, because I was unconscious,
mm,
but um, but I was freaking out. He told me he had
yeah,
to hold me because apparently they have to hold you,
yeah.
to make sure that there's nothing broken or anything like that.
Mm,
Um, we went to, or I got somehow to the accident, but the ambulance got me there. The emergency room doctors are the ones who put me on a bunch of medications so I didn't feel my
yeah.
headache,
Mhm.
or anything like that. And I don't know if they gave me something to sleep. I'm not sure, but I slept for a very long time.
Mm,
um,
yeah.
and then, so yeah, just a great appreciation for the medical industry because it's there to help you, and it definitely did help me. Um, and then the other thing is, just being grateful for like the holistic approach as well too, because I see one thing is, something that really does help as well, that goes with the Reiki and then the yoga, is joining the Facebook, support groups,
Mhm.
because it was the most lonely thing in the entire world when I was going through days and days and days
Yeah.
I'm not able to do anything anymore that I used to be able to do. Nobody is around, and a lot of friends are just like, "Oh, well, you're fine. Just go back to work." And I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's like the most lonely thing in the world. And when I saw that in the concussion group, when I joined them, a lot of people were struggling with having people understand that yes, they are actually going through like painful circumstances, like lonely circumstances, and their accident is, or their concussion is real. Their symptoms are real. A lot of people gaslight and downgrade their symptoms, but it's real. So to have that support and to find people who are going through that as well too is so crucial and so important. But I think the other balance is to find your belief in yourself, because I think if reading
Definitely.
reading the wrong or constantly reading about how this person isn't feeling well and this person, I'm reading so constantly that there's people who are not healing for years and years
Yeah.
and years.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do? I guess that's just the norm. I'm never gonna heal for 2 years, 3 years. So just believe in yourself for a second, because the second that you decide to believe in yourself and that you decide you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. Yoga,
That's music to my ears.
yeah.
That's part of my own ethos as well. It has been last few years as well. Yeah. And like going back to when I started out in the 20 noughties, it was like, yeah, there was nobody around. And you're the only first people that came along. And I've made so many friends across the world through doing that. It's just unbelievable. Beautiful people I've met along the journey. And every podcast I do is somebody else is like, wow, you know, so blessed for that. But yeah, the belief in yourself is what I always tell people, and that kind of runs throughout my message. Is that yeah, if you believe you're going to get better, so like I said to you, I know when if I have a concussion now, I know to heal it. I know that I don't just take the right things, use the right stuff. I'll use sound, I'll use Reiki healing, but I'll use that positive affirmation belief that is, I am getting better from this. I am going to heal really quickly. I'm going to heal so quickly that I'll move on, get on with my life. And that is, it's a powerful part of healing. If you've ever heard of Amit Goswami, there's a book called The Quantum Doctor, and he's I think where did he teach? I think he taught at Berkeley. But his philosophy as well is like, yeah, that way of bringing that into modern medicine would be so powerful. All these different traditions, bringing them together rather than just saying, oh, well, this one works. And you're right, what you're saying about the medical system. Yeah, they're absolutely, with trauma, they're absolutely fantastic. You accident, everything, they're superb. Um, they really are great with that. So, yeah, wow. Yeah, it's like we've opened a big can of worms here. Things to talk about. And it's like, all right,
It's
so
fun.
no, that's absolutely fine. And I'm glad you did, because, it's one thing to, like I said to you before, it's one thing to try and plan what you're going to talk about in the podcast, but then when stuff comes up, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. So yeah, are there anything else like you'd want to share that came from your healing journey with the in holistic terms, energetic terms, Brittany?
I would say for the most part, that would be it. I would say most of it is going to be that cranial sacral therapy.
Yeah.
Um, I would not at all be where I am today. I got about
Mm.
4 to 5 sessions from her. Um, it was profound. You can hear the energy. You
Mm.
can feel the energy leave your head. It sounded like there was a UFO near me.
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing. And I saw, and maybe this is a different topic, but I saw spirits around me.
Yeah, no,
I
you're talking to the
also,
right person about that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you're
um,
doing that.
so my heart is on it. My heart is also onto yoga, because it teaches you about mind body, especially when you injure something like your brain. That's very important to your body. It's very important to believe in yourself in the healing process. um, So yoga is what got me there. I'm still not even able to be as active as I used to, but
No.
yoga makes me very healthy.
Yeah, and I guess it's more gentle than working out at the gym, and you know I had that issue and problem too as well, where I couldn't go to the gym or I couldn't do any, because before I would go running after work and I'd run a few miles, you know, just on the night just to burn up the energy, and then do the gym and things. I'd be like, oh, I can't do this now. It's like when my head feels like it's going to explode. But afterwards, yeah, now when I learned to heal it all organically, it's like, well, yeah, I can do the gym now. All right, fair enough. They've been shut since flipping December, whenever, because of the ridiculous kind of shutdown here. But when they're open again, I'll be back in there, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm grateful I can do that. In the meantime, I've just been like walking 10 miles a day just to keep active, you know, whatever. But yeah, I do miss the gym, so I know where you're coming from there as well. The cranial sacral, I've never experienced personally, but I've heard a lot about it, and I have friends, other therapists and peers that do that. One thing I found useful in 2011-12 was Bowen technique therapy, which is a similar kind of adjustment of muscles and things, which I had for fibromyalgia, but some of it was for, you know, kind of cranial issues. So I know just how powerful a little bit of kind of working and, you know, kind of adjustment can be as well. Right. So the other thing that I intended to ask you as well is about regarding any types of supplements or CBD or anything like that you take or you've used, or your diet as well. Would you mind just talking a little bit about that, please?
Sure. So, like mentioned earlier, I'm a certified holistic lifestyle coach level one, which is just working on myself right now.
Mm.
But it is about being the example, following what you preach. That's just level one, is to be the example. And that's what again got me into like 99.98% healing. As far as like supplements, I didn't take any supplements. I took a lot of like Advil in the very beginning to make sure that I didn't. The doctors recommended that, so again, appreciation to the doctor for a second for their help in the very beginning of the journey. As far as supplements, I'm not too familiar. Um, but diet, I would say, is very important as well too in the healing journey. There were a lot of times I had to live with my parents for the 2 months while healing because I had no way of getting around. I didn't have a car. I couldn't take care of myself by myself. So I was living with them again for 2 months. Um, and so I was under their diet again,
Okay.
which they're healthy, but but not
You get
not
told your
good
greens
like
often, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did have to go through that, and I would say that like impacts a lot about like with your journey,
Yeah.
and how you feel about yourself. That's a yoga belief right there, which is you are what you eat. 100%. If you eat live food that's alive, like an apple that just fell from a tree 2 seconds ago, that's a very good way to get more life force energy into your body.
Mm.
If you're eating something that's not, maybe like I'm trying to think of an example. I love bagels. We'll say a bagel.
Processed food is
Something like that, yeah.
processed carbs. Yeah.
Yes. Which is not really like a live food. In turn, you don't be surprised if you don't feel too alive. So
Mm.
I would say like the more live food that you eat, like apples and live fruit that just came from the farm and stuff like that,
Yeah.
would be really good. I felt a very big difference when I ate healthy food and drank
Mm. Mhm.
healthy
Yeah.
drinks.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point as well. Yeah, I think in a lot of people, I mean, my diet's very strict because of, yeah, the histamine intolerance and stuff. So yeah, it's generally I'll keep the fresh things avoid sugars and carbohydrates, and it's mostly keto diet. I do a lot of fasting, water fasting as well. So yeah, I tend to have a very clean diet, and I know from what you were just saying, you appreciate that when you have something that's live, that's healthy, that's fresh. You do feel a lot better as well. Were there any also, we talk a lot in kind of PCS awareness, Brittany, about the kind of grief process when you might lose people and things from your life, like jobs, places, who you've thought were friends and so on, that perhaps didn't make the transition to on your healing journey with you. Were there any instances where you went through kind of that process of grieving?
Yeah, so that's a very big one.
Yeah,
The grieving process, letting things go,
yeah,
and during your healing process is so important. Just finding that peace and allowing things to go when they have to go. Um, that would be the job. It's crazy because with my concussion, my life was completely different. And during my concussion, my healing process, I was still pretty unconscious, but every time family and friends came over, I would just keep on repeating, the universe is your friend, the universe is your friend. And they would be like, Brittany, you're such a hippie. Okay. But I was there still. I was like, I'm alive. Like, what? Life is amazing.
pearls. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to say goodbye to a lot of things. I was 22. Um, I had a career of a lifetime as a social media marketer with, well, in a law firm.
Yeah.
My career was set for my life. As a 22-year-old, life was great, but it just wasn't on my path. It wasn't on my journey. And I think that the universe works in funny ways. And I think that we have the power to find that path within us. Sometimes the universe will help us. And
Very true. Yeah.
sometimes a car accident, maybe the universe finds it. I mean, hopefully we get to a point where we don't need that kind of the universe just says, hey, change your job. Like, but my life is
Yeah.
my life is completely different. And I'm completely grateful for all of it. I was also in a relationship for 5 years, 5.5 years.
Yeah.
The person wasn't there at all during the healing process, really, at all. So that's another thing of going through it alone, but also kind of
Mhm.
there were my parents, which they kind of parents, my old relationship, very just kind of like, oh, well, it's not a big deal, just go back to work. And I'm like, but
Ah,
you don't understand, I still don't feel good.
that's fine.
Yeah, so it's about listening to your heart. And if something doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
then
No.
just trust your heart, because I've always found that, like, following my heart, I've never regretted it. Um, Now I'm completely on my path. I'm completely on my journey as a yoga teacher, um, and working at the gym and helping people holistically. It's been an amazing journey. So the universe is your friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do believe that as well. Is you're either born that way or not. And easier to live a heart-centered life is one of the key tenets of living a spiritual life. But sometimes you live in a heart-centered fashion, no matter what, how people might abuse that and disabuse you, or kind of take that as your weakness. But it's that refusal to sink to the level of people that are manipulative or don't care. Like you said, along that journey, that point, it'd be, yeah, obviously people who weren't there for you, who just simply didn't understand or couldn't see where you were heading, or that you needed that heat. And like, okay, yeah, you did. I think you quite often with brain injury, it can be more difficult than losing a loved one in many ways, because yeah, you might lose several people out of your life. They're not dead, you know where they are, but you just can't relate to them anymore. And that's,
That's
oof. feel well enough now. Just talking about it, it's like, yeah, it's a powerful thing to talk about, but these are the kind of discussions that we need to have concerning post-concussion syndrome, because there will be a lot of people out there sat watching that are grateful for you bringing this up. And it is, yeah, it's getting emotional now thinking about it. So so I think back to those days in my life, and yeah, I was out. Yeah, my life was kind of destroyed from the inside out because of, you know, I didn't really have too many people left. I had a few very good friends, but, you know, and in the outward world, I didn't have much support. So I was like in the survival mission. And that's where Reiki saved my life as well. You know, meditation and Reiki helped to save my life from, you know, and yeah, anyway, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not. We're here to talk about other things. So yeah, so you've changed and you've grown in your own journey, Brittany, and that's you. Thank you again for sharing all of this with us. Are there any other insights, things that you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the people watching and listening at home, please?
So there's so much that I could talk about. um, I guess I'm trying to think of like what the biggest thing is that I could maybe tell people that I remembered. And maybe while we were just talking about that, about the struggles of the outside world and everything like that, when we're going through something that's just, you just don't understand what it is unless you go through it. It's just point blank. The biggest thing I think that I learned from the whole entire process was the profound spiritual awakening, connecting with something higher than yourself, which is like the universe or maybe a spirit guide. Like, I carry my grandmother's ring around me. She actually saved me in the hospital. She died before my car accident, but she actually visited me in the hospital. I hear so many people who are spiritually awakened and they say that they had to decide to like live again. I literally decided in the hospital to live again. So
Mm.
to have that like profound awakening and the gratefulness for life. But also what I learned throughout the journey was to believe in those two things higher than yourselves. Don't be afraid to ask for the help when you need it, whether it's from somebody or from a higher being or something like that, or the universe. The universe is your friend. Um, but also, um, nobody out there in this world knows you more than you know yourself. So pay attention to your body, listen to your heart, listen to your mind. Um, if you do feel like you have a headache today, it's because you have a headache today. If you do feel like you have concussion symptoms, post concussion symptoms, it's because you do, in fact, have post concussion symptoms. If you do feel like you need a day off, then yes, you do need a day off. Nobody knows you better than yourself. If you ate that lasagna and you didn't feel good after, it's because you didn't feel good after. Just because someone else around you, or something else like a doctor says otherwise, like, oh, well, you shouldn't be feeling that way, or well, you should be, what are you doing Reiki? You need to be on medication or something like that.
Yeah.
You know your body way better than yourself. If you feel like this is what you need, then follow your heart. Because a lot of people will tell you, you look fine, everything's great. What's the problem? It's just a headache. Everybody gets a headache.
Mm.
Not when you have a concussion. If you have a headache, it's different. So listen to your heart. You know yourself better than anybody in this world. So trust yourself.
Yeah, good advice, because it is. I don't think people always consciously try to disabuse us of what's going on with it. You know, when you say that, I've got this, and you know, I think it's sometimes people unconsciously go, you know, if I say that fibromyalgia, somebody asked me how I am one day, and I don't suffer these days much with fatigue. But sometimes I go, oh, I'm really fatigued, really, really worn out, and they go, oh yeah, I get tired as well all the time, and you know, people tend to do that, and I think they kind of unconsciously disabuse you of your own symptoms. So you can get to thinking, well, oh, actually, it's not that bad. I should just try and there's a whole, it's kind of quite a bad trap really. But yeah, and then some people, yeah, they do kind of gaslight you on your symptoms and like, no, you're not, you're fine. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, I'm really suffering, but I just need to get away from you or whatever. So yeah, no, it's good. And you know, you're following your heart, following your gut as well, and those emotions and sensations, because you tend to be able to feel, uh, especially if you've used Reiki or if you practice Reiki and meditation and yoga, you'll tend to have a better guidance system, or you'll be able to trust it more as well. And like you were saying about your grandmother and spirits as well. Well, yeah, I don't do normal mediumship anymore, but I've done trance mediumship for many years and channeling and stuff like that. So, yeah, I know the experiences that I've had. There were some mornings back, I'd go back to like 2007, 6, 7, where I would wake up. I'd woke up some mornings and like half my body was paralyzed because of what had gone on, and I was like, "This frightening." I was like, "What's going on?" And yeah, having to kind of get in a taxi and go to the hospital and scan me and send me home, and then waking up the next day and they're like, they've done nothing for me at the hospital. I was like, and then I've seen like figures of light standing around me in the middle of the night. Like, it's huge. I'm thinking, oh, this is crazy.
I've Whoa, you've seen that? I've actually seen that too.
And
I saw the light figures. That's
9 foot tall, kind of like luminescent green figures stood around me, and I'm like, on the leg, I can't move because I'm feeling paralyzed, and they're going, shh, it's all right, just relax, go back to sleep, and we'll take care of this. And then woke up the next day, and I was like, oh, I can move again. And I felt really peaceful. And it was like, well, yeah, something's come to take care of me. You know, you can question it all day long. You can mock it. You can say it was a dream or whatever. But you know, I know what I saw.
right. Yes. If you saw it, you saw it. The other thing is that I think helped me a lot, that I think would help a lot of people as well too, is a yoga philosophy, which is the of the eight limbs, social
Mm,
or ethics, so just morals and stuff like that, which is the first one, to live in ahimsa or ahimsa, however you say it, um,
mm,
which is nonviolence and love. And one of the most profound things I mean, it's to live your life out of love, rather than fear, but also it's um, to trust the process.
yeah,
So trust the process in someone else's life. Allow them, because you have to allow them to go on their path. Trust that they know where they're going on their path. But
yeah,
this also goes for you. So ahimsa, trust for yourself, love yourself,
yeah,
and trust that, like, trust the journey, trust that you know what you're doing for your life and your journey. You knew that, like,
yeah,
you had to go through this in order to get to your next step. So just trust that the universe, like I said, like I repeated it 500 times when I hit my head, um, the universe is your friend. Just know that the universe does have a plan for you,
mm,
and know that you have a plan for yourself, and trust the journey. Like, trust that this had to happen for the next move, because you're still here for a reason. So, um, you're definitely still here for a reason if you're listening to this.
oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Brittany. And yeah, it is. I firmly believe in Dharma as well as Cat
Yeah.
Chat. But Dharma is, yeah, you know, is like the life path that maybe
Yes.
your soul intends for you to really achieve. And you know, you go ahead with all your kind of concerns of your life and living what you want your career to be, how you want your changes and things to unfold in your life. And like to say, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And kind of like, well, Dharma's what should happen while you're busy doing other things in your life. And yeah, you know, if you'd said to me, oh, like 20 years ago, you know, you'll be doing what you're doing now, I'd have gone, yeah, yeah, I don't think so. You know, really don't think so. But here it is, you know, I had a really good, successful career, well-paid career before that. And it was like, I enjoyed it and I got to travel a lot and do all kinds of stuff. But if you'd have said to me, you know, are you going to be doing this? I'd be like, well, why would I do that? I know that there's some things I enjoy, but why would? So yeah, Dharma as well. But yeah, thank you for sharing that.
That's amazing. I think because I every time I listen to information like this, it helps me. But then I'm
Mhm.
like, how do I apply that to my life? So if I had to like give somebody like homework or something like that
Oh,
while they're healing right now, um, in yoga we would talk about this and we would be like, well, what if somebody does this or says this or something and then makes us sad or makes us mad or
mhm.
is not nice to us. Well, we're nice to them, but they're not nice to us. What do we do? And my yoga teacher who trained me would
Mm.
say, okay, well, you would just say, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, I did that, thank you. So that's what I say every time that something happens. So if anybody is listening to this feeling down, feeling
Mm.
somebody was against them today, didn't believe them today with their symptoms or something, anything like that, just take a moment, take a deep breath in, release the resistance by breathing, and just say, thank you. Thank you. Like some days it's like, why did this happen to me? Why did I
Mm.
have to hit my head? Just take a breath and say, thank you. And maybe you don't know why you're saying thank you right now, but just say, thank you, smile and say thank you. And then you'll figure out why it had to happen later because you're still here for a reason.
Absolutely, yeah. It reminds me a little bit of the Reiki principles. With a similar thing in Reiki, where there's like 5 principles, like just for today, do not anger, and so on and so on. So yeah, and where can people? How can people look up the yoga principles? Do you have them on your blog site, Brittany, or have you put them up there yet? Are they?
Yeah, so I've been slowly opening back up. I haven't touched the blog in a few months, but I am gonna get back into that very fast. Um, Mostly right now would be through my Instagram page. So I'll give you my Instagram. Um, so maybe would it I can give you my Instagram or I can tell people what it is as
Yeah,
well.
well, yeah, I'll try and put it in the notes beneath the episode. But yeah, please, if you want to give people your links now, where they can, yeah, tell them now how they can find you on Instagram and so on. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thanks.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a private page, it's a personal page right now, but I am opening it up because I'm a yoga teacher now. Everybody knows I'm a
Yeah,
yoga teacher.
yeah,
Finally, people know about my concussion. So I'm opening it up to the world, and I have a lot of yoga students and fans on there. So it's at Brittany underscore Brin for my Instagram. That's my Instagram, and it's BRITTANY underscore BRIN as in Nancy. So that would be my Instagram. I do kind of as many videos as I can to kind of do yoga philosophy every day, yoga poses. I'll be doing yoga classes as well too through the Zoom to help people out.
yeah.
So that they can experience it. Also, like I said, I'm a concussion survivor. I really want to help people who um, have had concussions because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to um, it's the confidence, it's the health, it's the heal, it's everything. So I want to help them. If they're interested in the yoga, I'll have that very soon. And the best way to find out and track that would be through the Instagram. And then um, I have my Facebook, but I have such a generic name on Facebook. I'll just give you my link and then you can post it there.
Sure.
Um,
Notes, yeah.
and then the third one is I'm actually in a yoga warrior contest right now.
Mm,
I'm currently in first place because so many people have heard my story.
uh-huh,
They've loved it. And there's been so many supporters. It's literally just one vote a day through Facebook.
uh-huh.
So far, like I said, I'm in first place. With just I'm very grateful. The universe is my friend. It works in weird ways.
Yeah, I've got it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So I can also give you the link to that as well too if anybody
it's good.
wants
Great.
support.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
Love my concussion support family and everything like that. So
Yeah, and it seems like you've not only had a great amount of success on your healing journey, but you've adapted quite quickly to be able to help other people as well, and you're going, a wonderful direction now. And yeah, like it did for me all those years ago. It took me a bit longer, but it does. It can, if you accept your injury and you accept how it's changed your life, and you say, well, actually, what is the reason for this? The reason is so I can learn to heal myself and help others as well that are in need, and go down that pathway. Then yeah, it can be. I always see it's one of my biggest blessings. But there are people that don't see that, and they resist it and they fight it, and they see it as their illness, their nemesis, if you like. They're kind of like the fighting that, and I've got. You hear the type of language that attack it, attack the headaches, attack the symptoms, and attack. And I think, no, don't attack
Yeah.
it. Think of it like yeah, I think of it like an unruly neighbour that, rather than being at war with your neighbour, you'll go around and offer a peace offering and go, right, okay, I understand you want to play music till 2 a.m. and that's all right, I'll get earplugs, but, just tell me what started this and how did you get to this point where you're acting up all the time? So yeah, I kind of look at it a different way, but I guess everybody comes round in the end, healing wise. Fingers, hope they do. But yeah, that's where people like yourself, Brittany, is an important part of showing people, not only by example, but yeah, saying, you believe you can heal and believe you will heal. Of course, if you only go back a few years ago, people didn't believe they could heal from post concussion syndrome. And that's what made me so determined to deal with my own, is to say, well, actually, I've no medical degree. I don't even have a college degree or anything. I don't have any education, like academically, but I can do it. I've learned to do it, and I'll show you. It's not difficult. But you are you possibly going to have to step outside the traditional realms of medicine and knowledge to do so, and it's safe to do that. You're okay. There's a lot of people there as well. So I think we're just almost coming up to the hour point, and I know you've got a busy day ahead as well. So thank you for being so generous with your time and your energy as well. That's much appreciated.
Yeah, of course.
And do you have any final thoughts to share with people before we go, Brittany?
I just hope that if anything, people get out of this, just believe in yourself at the end of the day. Um, the universe is your friend, and all of the power is inside of you. Um, you can be as healed and healthy as you would like. Just remain open minded. Keep your heart open to receiving. Be open to healing options, and just remember to take care of yourself, especially if you're not feeling well. Put yourself first, maybe today or something. Listen to your body. Take care of yourself. I believe in you, so believe in yourself.
Yeah, self-care is a massive one as well. Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and we've got, well, yeah, there's more to cover in the podcast, but yeah, self-care is a big one, especially at the moment, because a lot of people listening to this will still be kind of maybe a little bit short on hope and inspiration due to the shutdowns and things. But yeah, thank you for that as well. Right, so it only remains for me to a big, huge, massive thank you for doing this. I know it's nerve-wracking going on a podcast to tell your story, but that was exceptionally powerful. So thank you very much, Brittany, once again.
Yeah, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
You're most welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure. And to everybody watching, listening at home, I'll include some links for Brittany because the video casts usually go out on BitChute. It might go out on YouTube as well and other places, but the podcast is on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Google, anywhere you can think of really. So yeah, I'll try and include the links in all of those as well. All right, so it only remains for me to say thank you for joining us both, and yeah, we'll give you a wave goodbye from here in the UK and from Connecticut as well. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Ta-ta.
Namaste.